Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar we've got on today on securing your remote workforce. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the latest threats and solutions. I've got a lot to rattle through today. I did just want to start out with a little about myself. So my name's Isaac. I've been at ADM for 4 years in September. I started in the business development team. I'm now an account manager and an ADM's resident speaker as well. ADM itself has over 75 members of staff. We've got new apprentices joining quite regularly as well. We've got some sales trainee people joining, and we are split into 3 support teams, quite aptly named Zulu, Jedi, and Apache. And we have a service team leader for each, which are split into industries. Going to cover off the agenda now. So we're going to start off by talking about the security onion, or our approach to layered security. I'm going to pop these up on screen as I go. I won't read through every single one. Any questions we've got throughout, please do press the Q&A button in the top right hand corner of your screen. You may need to come out of full screen to see that, and I will try and answer them as we go. Bear in mind there is about a 30-second delay from when I would receive your question, and if I don't answer it in the middle of the webinar, then I will try and answer it in the end, and if not, I will send out an email following that with a follow-up to this. Once we've gone through the security onion, we're going to be talking about what's new with Microsoft. This is the bit everyone's excited for, so we're going to be talking about the new era of Microsoft Teams and Loop, and also using AI to improve efficiency. So that's a big one there. So let's kick off then with our security onion. As I said, this is our approach to layered security. This is what we'd want every customer in an ideal world of ours to have as a core package of security. I'll go through layer by layer here. So we start off in the center with policies and training. So the center of the onion is the people and the inside of the organization. And we move our way out to application control, followed by patch management, virus protection, firewall, cloud backups, DNS and ransomware protection, next-gen email filtering, identity protection, and then finally we have scanning, testing, and monitoring. So this is as I said, the core sort of suite of products that we want our customers to be using to maintain a secure environment. It's very key to what we do. We have this as well internally. I will be talking about various different products and solutions in this. Not all are Microsoft, not all are related, but we rigorously test almost every product that we take on board at ADM, and these are just the ones that we use ourselves and we recommend to customers. So the layers, as I said, should be interpreted from the inside out. So we start with the external side of the organization with scanning, testing, and monitoring, and moving internally to policies and training. Today we're going to start working inside out, starting with the people, the policies and training side of this. I do want to cover off some quite scary statistics here. So 91% of successful data breaches started with a spear phishing attack. And according to IBM, $4.91 million is the average cost of a data breach with phishing as the initial attack vector. That's really important to note. So let's talk about your business's last line of defense. I want you to be thinking while I'm going through this, what is my business's last line of defense? Is it antivirus? Is it email filtering? Maybe it's with the IT team. Well, you may be surprised to hear your business's last line of defense, in a lot of cases, if it slips through the net of everything, ends with the people. The company's whole security depends on the employee's actions. And this is where something called SATT comes in. So SATT stands for security awareness, testing, and training. And it really is about those 2 key points there. So we test with simulated phishing emails, and we train with best-in-class UK training. And that really brings the awareness side of things to the users and potentially prevents a serious incident from happening, and a lot of time and money. So here at ADM, we use a product called KnowBe4 for this. There are obviously alternatives, as I mentioned. So we've got Microsoft have come out with a new product. There's some that are linking to our Barracuda email service, but KnowBe4 seems to be the one that has the most to offer, and they sort of live and breathe this technology, which is what you'll find with a lot of our products that we're recommending. So Here you can see the phish prone percentage, what they call the phish prone percentage. That basically means the percentage of likelihood that someone's going to click on an email within your organization or has clicked on an email. We really want to see this graph with a steady decline when we start it. So you can see here we start off sort of around the 30 to 40% mark, and we have a little bit of a rise here, and then it slowly slopes down. So this is just an example client here, but you can compare it to your industry, your organization size, how far you are into the program, and then you can see the account average is your score, and the industry phish prone is the average for other industries in that sector as well. So that's quite an interesting one. This is just on the dashboard of the KnowBe4 platform. I'm going to cover off some emails now. So think about this. Would your employees click on any of these emails? We'd like to think they wouldn't. But with KnowBe4, you can curate these custom emails that look similar to this. It's really easy. It's like drag and drop content. And at this point, and there's many updates coming to the portal, which I can cover off later on. But you can create emails like this. You can reuse content from other emails using a tool called PhishFlip, which is really cool. And there's thousands of templates to pick from, so they're updated regularly on a day-to-day basis. You've got UK phishing simulations, but it also goes to many different languages and continents as well. So what happens when your employee actually clicks on one of these links? Well, in the real world, that could potentially open up the organization to a massive threat, and the IT team could spend lots of time and money on this, to be honest, resolving this issue. So with KnowBe4, we don't go to the extreme. It's not in your face. It's, oops, you clicked on a simulated phishing test, and then it talks about the 3 points. Always stop, looking, think before you click, check for red flags, and verify suspicious emails with the sender through a different medium like a phone call. There's many other landing pages available on this. So you've got things where you can have the Microsoft landing page where it'll ask you to log in. You've got ones where you can have an error page. If a user's constantly clicking on links and you want to take the risk, you could make it look like the computer's been hacked as well. So there's loads and loads of options with this. It's fully comprehensive. Moving on then to the training side of things, we mentioned the testing, but the training is also really key, and it has to be ongoing as well. So as I've already said, it's best in class UK made training. There's always this argument and debate against traditional training versus gamification versus video training. And this has the option for all three, really. So if you want to go down that traditional route, you can do your assessments, your exams, your rules and regulations. And if you want to go through the gamification route, they have many games available, like Spot the Fish. They have quiz games, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire sort of style things. And they also have really popular training at the moment, which is Netflix style training. So that's actually on the Inside Man that you can see up here. So I went to a conference recently in London for KnowBe4, and this was insanely popular. We had customers and partners alike desperately wanting to see this new premiere that they were putting on at the Odeon. And it's really fascinating to see how interested people are in this and how users relate and link and connect to it. So there is a link there as well. If you want to scan that, you can get a free phishing test. If you don't feel safe scanning QR codes, then well done as well. You can email in and ask for the link. There's loads and loads of things being added recently, and I'd like to talk to you about it, and do get in touch if you want to discuss it with us. So I don't see any questions just as of yet, so I'm going to move on, starting with zero trust now. So what do I mean by zero trust? Well, zero trust needs to start with a clean slate and core apps, and you want to be eliminating everything else, therefore protecting your users and devices and maintaining control from malicious files and applications. At ADM, we use a tool called Threat Locker for managing this. So this goes into a deployment phase and then starts with a learning phase, and we'll pick up over a period of time what users are using which applications across the organization. So your Microsoft 365 applications, your Google Chrome, your Edge browser, your Outlook, everything you're using, it will pick up on, and it will just start by blocking everything else after that learning phase. So it's a really good way to ensure security amongst the organization very quickly and very easily. You can also do this now with Microsoft, and we are actively reviewing that option, and more information on that when it comes. Next up, we have patch management. So this is a key part of any business with modern devices. I want you to think about how you're currently patch managing and whether it's up to the task, whether it's working for you, whether it's using too much time. We at ADM provide a service called Guard Dog for protection, and I'll go into that in more detail later. But I will just briefly touch on the key to patch management is to balance, security with visibility and control for devices and end users. Talking about that control side of things, we at ADM use a pop-up on our machines and also deploy this to some customers. Users don't tend to want to reboot their laptop. It's a common issue with IT admins, and I'm sure many of you listening now will agree. So what we do is we give them a gentle nudge and say a reboot's required after recent updates. Please save your work and reboot. And this will pop up a couple of times before we force a reboot. So it's not an instant forced reboot, maybe when their work's not saved or something. It is just a gentle nudge, and that's the way we found works the best. And that's something that you can probably do on your end as well. And if you want any information on doing that, then please do get in touch with us as well. So I'm going to talk for a little bit about virus protection. So does anyone remember this with Royal Mail? This is a recent one with Capita as well. So this was this month, a couple of weeks back even. We've got WH Smith. So that was affecting pensions and previous employees and current employees of WH Smith for a cyber breach. Western Digital was another one. And who knows about this one? So I'm going to enlarge that. So this is a really striking statistic. Many smaller organizations believe they're not susceptible to cybersecurity threats. But you can see here, a study finds 1 in 4 SMEs hit by ransomware last year. And actually, this is actually potentially quite a bit more concerning. From recent statistics, we're seeing as much as sort of in the 40% category of SMEs hit by ransomware. So it really is it's not slowing down anytime soon. It's rising with the rise of AI as well. It's making it easier. With the rise of hacking as a service, it's making it easier for people to, breach your security. There's supply chain attacks that go on all the time. So this is when we have a small organization that gets hit by a breach, and they do it purely so they can work their way up the chain to someone they provide to. It famously happened with Sony a couple of years back. And I'll tell you a quick story on this. So I was speaking with an insurance lady who we work with, who does some presentations with us occasionally, and she was saying that a manufacturing plant went down, and hundreds of products had to be scrapped because a kid in his bedroom was deciding that he wanted to give this a go and try and hack into this manufacturing plant. So it is quite worrying, and it's a lot to think about. I think this statistic is really good to show business leaders and things and seniors and decision makers within the organization. If you've got an FD who's not too sure, then this is a great one to put in front of them. And this isn't me just cherry picking. There's loads and loads of articles online. If you just Google, SMEs ransomware or SMEs viruses, you can find out all about it. So again, there's options here. As with SATT and Zero Trust, Microsoft have an option as well. We personally use Sophos. I could show you a bias table from Sophos's website, but you'd be surprised to hear that we would actually say there's benefits to both. So you have your Microsoft. That's absolutely fine. It's improving quite rapidly now, actually, with Defender. It's more cost effective. It's tightly integrated with that Microsoft ecosystem. It's easy to deploy. You do have Sophos then, which has the centralized management portal. That's a much easier UI to use. You've got user-based licensing, which might be easier for some organizations. It's more comprehensive, we find, and they've got a new tool called MDR, which is basically a SOC team or a security operations center as a service that runs out of their office, which we think is a potentially really beneficial tool there. So, as I said, benefits to both. It's really about what kind of organization you have, and if you want to find out which one may suit you best, then obviously get in touch, as with all of the products that I'm discussing here today. We're going to move on to firewalls. So people often ask me if they need a firewall now the company dynamic has shifted to working from home or hybrid working. The answer is definitely yes. Firewalls are still relevant. They not only protect devices, but also networks, unauthorized access, keeping confidential information confidential, which is a big one. Now, the reason this is so important when working from home or working from somewhere else is that think about how many of your employees at the moment are using remote access to the business. This is a key layer of protection that needs to go in front of that to make it secure. So firewalls definitely still relevant, definitely an ongoing tool that you need to be using in your business, even if your dynamic has shifted to working from home. We're going to also talk about backup, which is one of the crucial things to back up in business is your 365 data. So while Microsoft provides robust measures, data loss due to user errors, malicious activity, syncing issues are still possible. Another reason is for compliance. So have you checked that your business is 100% compliant with your cyber insurance policies or certifications or any other standards that you might have, your ISOs, etc.? One final point that's often overlooked here is migration of data. So having an offsite backup can really help streamline and facilitate that. We at ADM have a massive bank of these Synology units in our server room, and we use that combined with maybe some on-site backup of the customer, and we also have a third point of backup, which is the bunker. So many of customers of ours may have heard of the bunker. For those that haven't, it's an old nuclear bunker turned data center in an ultra secure environment, and it's based in Ash in Kent, which is near our offices. So if anything goes down and we need to get there, then we can just drive across there, pick up your backup and physically deliver it to you. So that's why we use it, and also for that ultra secure environment. So that's backup and the bunker and Microsoft 365. Moving on now to DNS protection. So if some of you can think about what form of DNS protection you have in place currently, if any, that would be great. I mean, breaking this down to its core for those non-technical people who have joined, a DNS or domain name infrastructure translates website domains, so the websites that we know and recognize, for example, www.google.com, and it translates it into IP addresses that your computer can read. So, a string of numbers. And DNS protection helps to prevent attacks that exploit that process and potentially turn it into something malicious. We currently use Cisco Umbrella for this, and we recommend this. It used to be called OpenDNS. There's a number of reasons that we use this. So it's comprehensive protection for various devices, platforms, and network infrastructures. You've got customizable policies, content filtering and categorization, and also off-network protection for, again, remote workers, which is a massive key point that we really want to hammer home in this one. Another really important thing while users are working remotely, I mentioned SATT earlier, or security awareness testing and training, for the curated phishing simulations and training. But just because you have that in place, it doesn't mean you shouldn't add security to your inbox. We use Barracuda. Again, there are alternatives available. Protection, it gives you protection against spam, phishing, malware, and advanced threats. It uses sandboxing environments to identify more sophisticated threats that may bypass those traditional filters. DLP, or data loss prevention, it helps organizations to prevent data leaks, so blocking sending sensitive emails. If we try and send our credit card details through an email, or someone gets into our emails and tries to send those details, or a national insurance number to someone, it will just immediately be blocked due to a policy that we have in place. Also provides encryption, preventing unauthorized access, and they've got a user-friendly quarantine zone that emails you regularly every morning and just says, here's your quarantine for the day. Have a look through it and decide what you want delivered. There's a premium feature as well, which is AI language detection, which is a really interesting one. So if I have an email from someone that's emailing me all the time and says good morning or good afternoon at the start of every email, and they suddenly change to hey or hi, then it will pick that up and it will block it and quarantine it. So really interesting tool there, and something that's very important for remote workers, because people lose their focus when they're working remotely sometimes. You may be distracted by something, the kettle may have gone off and you want to grab your coffee and you quickly click on an email because you've seen it come through. So this is very important. So identity protection. This stands, this identity protection relates to MFA in our organization. So I want you to, again, think about MFA and if you've got it turned on or not. If you haven't got it turned on, which I hope there's only maybe a few of you that haven't, but it's probably one of the easiest steps to up your security game massively. It's super easy to deploy. It's generally free, the basic version in your licensing, and it allows you to protect all your accounts to geo-block. So if you're in the UK 1 minute and then 20 minutes later you're in Uganda, it will pick that up and it will block you. And it also comes with a counterpart, which is the Microsoft Authenticator app. There are a couple of different applications for verifying yourself, but we use the Microsoft one, and it just gives you a fingerprint or Face ID to verify that it's you who's trying to get into your account. One of the newer policies that we've put into place here is something called number matching. So that means that we can make our environment even more secure by popping a number up on the screen and saying you have to enter that number on your phone to be able to log in. So that's a really interesting one, and that's worked very well for us. I'm going to move on now to scanning, testing, and monitoring. So this ties in with the patch management that was discussed a little bit earlier. This is our dashboard for managing our clients that allows us not only to patch manage, but also to remote in for support and have a quick view of issues from a single pane of glass. So I'll quickly run you through this. So obviously you have your recent devices over here that you've looked into. These are our customers on the left-hand side. Obviously blocked out for privacy here. But you can see which customers have how many servers, how many workstations. You can see our ADM testing and demo ones here as well. You can immediately see at a glance, which devices are healthy, which may have failed, and we can that makes it much easier for managing all of our customers and ourselves. A simple way to do it. And again, you've got these nice graphs and things that just make it easier for us. So guard dogs, kind of a crucial thing for us as an IT MSP, means we can remote in as well and support people in the quickest way possible. If you don't have guard dog already, or you're not with ADM, then again, do get in touch with us, because we can look into sorting it out for you, and we'll have a consultation call. So the big thing that everyone's wanting to know about is what's new with Microsoft at the moment. Well, there's a lot of innovation going on, more so than we've seen in quite a while. So I'm going to start off with a tool called Microsoft Loop. So Microsoft Loop, we used to use a tool in the business development team that was quite similar. So it was like a planner, to-do list. We had different buckets with different tasks, and we could assign them out. But this seems to be the direction that Microsoft are going in now. So it seems to be shifting to this platform called Loop. So Loop has collaboration in mind, allowing users to work on projects even, and clear tasks across the Microsoft suite of products. With it, you have different workspaces for different projects or notice boards. You can see we've got different tasks as well. And it's assigned to different people, these tasks. So you can collaborate on notes and documents, get email notifications and reminders when something's due. And I would say Loop is best learned by experiencing it firsthand. So I'd heavily encourage you to go to the Loop website, just type in Microsoft Loop on Google, and you can try it out and decide if it's the right fit for your organization, because it's one of these tools that's not going to be right for every company. I think in particular, the use cases that I've seen have been very much for marketing or business development, and less so for administration and sales and support and things. So definitely go and check it out. It's free to use at the moment as a demo. I don't know what the licensing situation is going to be with it just yet, because it is a new update, but more info on that as we get it. I'm going to talk a little bit about Teams. So I imagine quite a few of you are using Teams currently as your go-to messaging and calling application across your business. I would be curious to know how many people have tried the new update. You can switch it on just by toggling the switch in the left-hand corner at the top of your Teams. It's generally the pitch from Microsoft that these are the solutions to our problems that they've implemented. They've made teams twice as fast while consuming up to 50% fewer resources. So that's great. That was a big bug area for a lot of people. It was a bit simpler to use with more polished and responsive UI that's easier to navigate and get more done. And they also said it was going to be more flexible with innovations that streamline multiple tenants or accounts, giving more flexibility and availability to scale up as well. As I said, you can turn it on by toggling the switch up the top left. But we've been trialing this internally and have certainly noticed a few teething issues. However, we do expect them to be patched pretty soon, we would hope, and that should make it hopefully become a really nice, intuitive product to use. I'm going to move on to a really important one here, the age of AI. So I imagine a lot of you have heard about ChatGPT and other AI tools as well. So there's some art ones, there's some other productivity calendar tools that you can use. So think about the AI tools that you've used in the last couple of months and think about how quickly that's evolving. I personally think AI is one of the biggest leaps forward we've had in quite a long time in terms of innovation. And Microsoft have recently acquired GPT-4, which is OpenAI's new version of ChatGPT. And I'll be talking about Microsoft's acquisition in just a moment. But I do want to briefly cover off some ways to improve prompts with these tools. So if we look at a generic prompt here, so let me just skip through this. So I'm going to start off actually with this quite interesting graphic because we've got our draft quality. So this is generally where we start at the average line without the use of AI. And then we can move into with AI where we start in the good category. So this is a really succinct, simple graphic that can be, again, put across to business decision makers and make it easier for them to potentially adopt some sort of AI tool. I think businesses who don't adopt this could be left behind pretty quickly. And this is obviously my personal opinion, but it's a big leap forward, as I said. So as I said, without AI, that's where we start at the average and we move into where we mostly deliver, which is at the great level, and where we rarely deliver, which is at the outstanding level. With AI, we can start straight from the good level. That's where we spend most of our time, in the great section, and then we mostly deliver in the outstanding. I've used this a lot internally as well to draft up different bits and pieces that have been really useful to use. Create different tables, put a massive data into tables is really good. But yes, this keeps it really succinct. There is a quote that I found on a website called ZDNet, which we're talking about GPT, and I think this really summarizes it. There's a lot of opportunity for both garbage in and garbage out. If you give it a bad prompt, it might come back to you with a bad response, because at the end of the day, it's not human, and it can only go as far as it can go. So as I mentioned earlier, this is where I want to talk about prompts. So if we give it a really basic prompt, like how can I prepare for a marathon, you get this long step-by-step guide on how you could potentially prepare for a marathon. So it's got set a goal, consult a physician, develop a training plan, etc., etc. If we change that prompt slightly from how can I prepare for a marathon to something like I'm a beginner runner and have never run a marathon before, but I want to complete one in 6 months, how can I prepare for a marathon? Then it makes it much more personalized immediately on the offset, saying congratulations on deciding to take on the challenge. You can achieve it, and here's how to prepare in 6 months. So it's really already listened to our initial prompt there. And there you go, you've got the similar training plan, but it actually references specifically, your timeline constraints and talking about beginners and things and how beginners tend to do it. As a beginner, focus on completing rather than achieving a specific finishing time. So that's a really interesting way to do it. You can actually go from here and then ask it to put that information into a table for you to make it more easily digestible. And that's what it will do very, very quickly. So there's a table with step 1s to all the way through to 9, talking about what it's just discussed with you. So obviously it's conversational. So then we can go from that to I'm doing this for a charity. Could you make me a social media post? Hey, friends and family, I've taken on an incredible challenge and we'll be running this marathon. And it will even add the hashtags in as well. Then if we want to make it more formal, so we can talk about tone, I can say I want one for my workplace as well, but I want it to be a little more formal. Still obviously needs to be positive. And there you go. So it's composed an email for you. It's giving you your subject line, your dear colleagues. It's giving you the hashtag still. And it's really, really simple. So let's move on very briefly, and I'm very conscious of time. If you can't stay for the rest of the webinar, there's about 5 or so minutes left, then we will try and get a recording across to you. But let's talk about Microsoft's acquisition of Copilot now. So this is called Microsoft Copilot. This is their acquisition of ChatGPT, or the GPT-4 engine. That's the new one. And this is what they're proposing to do with it. So I'm going to show you a short video first of all, and then I'm going to break down, each part of the video and just go through some bits that I picked up on. But I'll start off with this video now. So let's talk about some of those things that we saw on screen there. I've tried to screenshot the best way I can. Things like prepare me for my upcoming meetings, that we use your data to realize how you can prepare for this meeting that's coming up based on your calendar or your files. I also saw their draft of product announcements. This is similar to something you may do in GPT already, but this actually links into that recent file where you can see Fourth Coffee Cafe AI specs. And it will link in and draft a product announcement based on that. We've got, that's a duplicate there, sorry about that. This is a really fascinating one. So create a 10-slide presentation from the press release. So it's referencing another file again, the press release file, and it's creating a whole presentation based on that with images and text and everything. That will for sure make my life a little easier. So there's PowerPoint as well integration, Excel integration with analyzing data. You can see, I think most of the Copilot, the way it's going to be is in this right-hand tab here on most applications. That's what I've seen from videos and press releases and things. So that's where I expect it to be as a little chat box and suggestion. I don't know how many of you remember Clippy, the paperclip that used to give you tips, but this is going to be that, but potentially way more advanced. So we also have draft a response of my approval, but I like key risks. So this is it linking into Outlook. And you can see there that it said, thanks for the revisions. I approve it, but pay attention to some potential risks. So it's really, picking up on what you're asking it to do. Teams is potentially one of the best ones that we're seeing here. So it's already picked up on the fact that you joined the meeting late, and it's made a summary for you where it scans the transcript and links in some action items and what you missed. So this is absolutely phenomenal stuff if this goes ahead smoothly, it's really exciting. And some prompts here that I also picked up on. The key one here that I noted was a SWOT analysis. If we can do that, that's going to be really impressive. Agendas, how does our bestseller compare to the competition? Which products are most profitable? So loads and loads of interesting things there. I did do a seminar on this yesterday that was a bit more expanded in person at the Microsoft offices, and a lot of people picked up on the fact that, okay, well, how is this working? What data does it need? And yes, it will be linking into your business's data, whether that's through your CRM system or through previous Microsoft files. Unfortunately, we don't have that much information on it at this point in time, and we don't have much information on licensing and what it's included with even. But as soon as we have updates on that, we're going to send over a newsletter and potentially a security assessment from our end after rigorous testing and training on it, and we can keep you all updated. So if you want to be added to that, please do reach out and get in touch and let us know, and we can add you onto that newsletter. So another one that's really exciting that kind of ties in with Copilot is this Security Copilot. So Security Copilot is going to allow you to uncover, investigate, respond to threats, and summarize your work for it in minutes. You can see in this video here, it's identified an ongoing attack, and then you can assess its scale and get instructions to begin remediation. There's another one here with this screen showing whether your organization is susceptible to known vulnerabilities and exploits. You can look at your environment, you can really drill down one asset at a time for evidence of a breach. So that's really fascinating as well. And this is my personal favorite one here. You can immediately see the powerful summarizing feature for any event, incident, or threat prepared in a ready to share customizable report for your desired audience. So this has created a slide based on the ransomware attack, and it's something really nice, easy to use and send to the MD and let him know what's happened there. So again, this is just going to cut down IT managers and staff's time massively. It's a great resource that could potentially be really, really useful. Finally, then I'll just briefly summarize here. So Security Copilots is really going to change the way we address risks and simplify managing them. Obviously, as with the standard Copilot, we're going to send out a newsletter once we have some more information on what it does, what are the security risks, when it's available, how it's available, which licensing you need, how much it's going to cost, etc., etc. So do let us know if you want to be added, as I said before. So that is the presentation for today. If I could ask one thing from you, it would be that you scan that QR code there, and my colleague Penny is going to put a link into the chat as well for that feedback form. We really appreciate your feedback, and we can really massively use it to improve future events, seminars and webinars. So do just give that a quick scan with your phone, or click on the link that Penny's just put in the chat, I can see, and let us know if you've got any questions as well. I see that nothing's been posted, which is always a good sign, but feel free to email us or put your question in that notes section in the feedback form. So our contact details are there. Without further ado, I'd like to thank you all for attending once again and taking time out of your day to watch this. And we'll hopefully have a recording ready to go as and when it's available to us. So thank you all again. Appreciate it, and we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.